Okay, so hey everyone, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to study about CloudFront, and we are going to do this as the second part. So in the previous part, you learned about how to create a CloudFront distribution, and you learned about most of CloudFront's features in order to have it as set it up as a CloudFront distribution in front of your origin, right? So where you utilize all of the 216 edge locations and so on. So today what we'll be doing is we'll be studying more in-depth features about CloudFront from a theoretical perspective. And these are some of the things that may come up in your exam. So it's very important to understand as to how CloudFront works under the hood. So let's get started. So this is one of the features of CloudFront where we will be able to go ahead and safeguard all of our data within an S3 bucket, where no one can actually access all of the data within the S3 bucket using the S3 objects URL. But then what they will be using is they'll be using the CloudFront's URL. So therefore you can force people to go ahead and access all of your objects in your origin, not necessarily S3, but all of your objects in your origin only from CloudFront, and rather than actually accessing those objects directly from the S3 objects URLs and so on. So therefore this is mainly used for privacy. It's really a great feature in order to safeguard all of your data. So what you have to do is you have to create a special CloudFront user called as an origin access identity, or OAI, and then you have to associate it with your distribution. And once you associate it with your distribution, you have to go to your S3 bucket and configure a bucket policy where you'll be able to specify that all of my get object action can only come from this origin access identity as the principal entity, not from anywhere else, right? So once you configure that, then no one can actually access all of your objects within the bucket using the objects URL, but they will have to access it only from the CloudFront's DNS name that they provide, right? So this particular link that I have mentioned over here gives you more content in terms of how do you set this up and so on. So please feel free to go ahead and access that link and set it up for yourselves, and you can see that you will not be able to access all of the objects within the S3 bucket from the S3 objects URL, but you will be able to access it only from the CloudFront's URL. So the next feature that CloudFront provides you is called as signed URL versus signed cookies. So many companies that distribute their content over the internet, they want to restrict access to some of their media streams or any kind of document, and that is intended only for some selected users. Like say, for example, people who have paid a premium fee and so on. To serve this content securely, you can do two things. So you can go ahead and configure your users to access the private content by using signed URLs or signed cookies, and also configure the OAI in order to, not directly access your content in your S3 bucket, but they can access it only through the CloudFront's URL, right? So that is in the second point over here. So you have to require that your users access your content only using the CloudFront's URL and not through the direct URL of the object, which is sitting in S3. So for that, you'll have to enable OAI, or origin access identity, that we studied in the previous configuration. So now comes the question as to where you would possibly use a signed URL in contrast with a signed cookie, and where you would use signed cookie in contrast with a signed URL. So you would use signed URLs in these particular scenarios. So if you want to configure an RTMP distribution, so it's going to go out of date probably within the next few months or so. So they're going to decommission the RTMP distribution. But if suppose you are going to use an RTMP distribution, you would use a signed URL, because signed cookies are not supported with RTMP distributions. And then if you want to restrict access to individual files, for example, an installation or any kind of downloading of a file and so on, then you can use a signed URL, that too only for individual files, not for a group of files. And probably there are some users who are using a client that does not support signed cookies, then you can use a signed URL, right? But then you would use a signed cookie in these scenarios wherein you want to provide access to multiple restricted files. So like, for example, a folder, or probably multiple videos and so on. You don't want to use a signed URL in those scenarios, because then you will get a URL for every object that you sign, right? So instead of that, you can go with a signed cookie for multiple restricted files, and also that you don't want to change your current URLs. So you want to have your existing URLs for your application that you already have, and then you use signed cookies in order to assign those content, and then give it out to a specific set of users and so on, with restricted access for multiple files, right? So if you want to use both signed URLs and signed cookies, the signed URL will take predominance over signed cookies. So you can go through this particular documentation over here in order to set up a signed URL using Java programming language. So and so on. They also have support for Node.js and Python also for creating signed URLs from within your application. Right? So there is one more configuration called as query string parameters, which are very important because it's important to remember this going to your exam, because this affects your caching. So it depends on the performance of your caching that you're going to do. So a query string parameter is nothing but, so there are some web applications that you use query strings to send information to an origin, right? So you may have something along the lines of this. So this is your CloudFront distributions URL, the DNS name, and then you have the images as one of the path where you are sending an image, and you're specifying a query string parameter after the question mark by specifying the color is red and as well as the size is large, right? So therefore, in this example, your query string includes two parameters, which is one is called as the color, and the second one is the size, right? So now based on this, how would you possibly forward content? So there is one particular example over here that is going to give you much more clarity. So suppose you have a website that is available in 5 different languages, right? And the directory structure and the file names and the file versions are all the same for all of the different bucket contents that you have for giving your website in 5 different languages. So as a user views your website, the requests are going to be forwarded to the CloudFront distribution to include the language query string parameter, right? And then you can configure CloudFront to forward these query strings to your origin and to cache based on those parameters. You can either choose to cache based on all parameters, or you can choose to cache based on selected parameters. So if you configure your web server to return the respective version of the given web page which corresponds to a specific language, CloudFront caches each language version separately based on the value of the query string parameter. So therefore, in this particular example, you can see over here, you're passing the same website content, the same folder hierarchy, everything from S3, and you're accessing it only through the CloudFront distributions endpoint. But then you're also passing a query string parameter called as language equals D, and then language equals EN, ES, French, and as well as for Japan. So based on which CloudFront is now going to cache all of your content, and it's going to cache individual content, individual versions for each of your query string parameters. So now comes in wherein you do, you can configure CloudFront to either do one of these configurations. So if you don't forward your query string parameters to your origin at all, then what happens is CloudFront never caches your content based on the query string parameters. But if suppose you forward your query strings to the origin, you can either choose one of these two strategies. You can choose to cache based on all parameters, or you can choose to cache based on specific parameters in the query string. So now this is the last slide where I just wanted to talk about how do you optimize your caching content and so on. So you can cache based on different parameters for which your origin returns different versions of your object, which we studied in the previous slide. And always list your parameters in the same order. Don't have a parameter that says color equals red and size equals large, and then you have another request that goes with size equals large and color equals red. So it doesn't have any kind of meaning over there, and again your caching is not going to be optimized much because you are having different list parameters but in the different order, right? And probably also use the same use case in terms of whether you're using an uppercase or you're using all lower cases for your parameters. It's very important because that also improvises your caching strategy. And if suppose you use some parameter names that conflict with signed URLs, please don't do that. So when you are creating a signed URL, you have to specify the expiration of your signed URL using the expires parameter. You have to also give it a key pair ID and a policy and a signature. And this policy allows you to restrict the access that is given through that signed URL. So if you use either one of these 4 parameters as one of your query string parameter names, then it will not work. Your caching will not work properly, right? So these are some points to remember going into your exam, that when you want to optimize cache, think about using one of these 4 as your best practices, right? And to always have the same kind of parameters, that same type of parameters, same case for your parameters, having everything in lowercase, as well as the order for your parameters are all the same, right? So this helps you a lot in terms of improvising your caching strategies, and you can go ahead and try this out on CloudFront. Thanks a lot for attending this session. I know it's pretty small, and but then this gives you more overview regarding how CloudFront works underneath, right? So thanks a lot and have a great day, guys. Bye bye. See you.